Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bells Must Ring podcast. I am your host, Andrew Rice, and with my usual co host, Arnav Sarkar. Joining us today is Nolan Rogalski, if I said that correctly. I hope I did.
Yeah, that's close enough.
From the Testudo Times, Maryland's SB Nation page, award winning according to them. Um, yeah, how are you doing today, Nolan?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here with you guys, talk some shop. That's right.
Absolutely. Really excited to be able to talk some Rutgers versus Maryland football. Everybody knows that that is the most intense rivalry in the Big Ten. Nothing but
Yeah.
hatred between these schools, right?
Yeah, no, there's some real big blood ties. I mean, we've got a lot of Jersey people around here, I gotta say. The New Jersey to Maryland pipeline is strong.
Yeah, my
There's
friend
plenty of
actually
people I know.
goes to Maryland. Like I know some people. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Do you?
Yeah,
I don't think
no.
I know any like vice versa though. Like,
Yeah, maybe like a few, but not that much. Yeah, I don't know that many like Maryland kids who like go to Rutgers like that much. I'm sure there is, but there isn't like that big of a pipeline going the other way, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, the issue is the Jersey kids that come here go here because they don't want to go to Rutgers, you know? So,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
that's fair. I mean,
But no,
yeah, there's a lot of Jersey kids who do go to Rutgers too, and then I guess the ones who don't tend to go to places like Maryland, Michigan, like Illinois, like all the, wherever it's good academically, and
USC.
football.
Come on
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah, USC, the LA schools, like what but where it's good academically and athletically, I guess in the Big Ten. So there's a lot of that good stuff going on, I
I mean,
guess.
all I'll say is that's people I know. Personally, I had Rutgers on the college list. I was very much considering going. It's a great institution you guys have up
Yeah,
there.
it's a great school. It definitely fits in that bill of good academically and good athletically, like I was just mentioning as well. So yeah.
Not to stroke our
For
own
sure.
ego. It's a great school. It's a great school.
Yeah.
But you know what should also be great is this football game that we have on Saturday. It kind of seems like two teams that are very much in the same boat. They need this win for bowl eligibility. Maryland, I believe, has Michigan and Illinois left on the docket. Two no give me games. We have Ohio State and Penn State, which respect to us, but we are not beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
you know,
Forget about that
um,
one.
we're both sitting at 4 wins. It almost seems like win and win and stay alive, lose and go home. Almost. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly what it feels like for you guys looking at the schedule. I mean, certainly got handed a really tough one this year, having to go out west 2 weeks in a row, or play the West Coast teams 2 weeks in a row, rather. There's a lot of good
Right.
stuff happening out there. I mean, to have Illinois, Ohio State, and Penn State on the schedule as well, that's tough. But for Maryland, really, it is much of the same, albeit with a weaker schedule than what Rutgers has had to deal with for sure. I mean, Maryland coming in, the Big Ten games they've played so far, Wisconsin, Washington, Nebraska, UCLA. You would think theoretically they'd be able to get more than just the one win against Wisconsin they got. And then homecoming last week, Indiana, everybody knew it was going to happen then, and it
Yeah.
happened. But
Yeah.
no, it's a very interesting spot for both teams. Kind of need to do well at the end here to get something out of the season.
Yeah, and it almost seems like in both situations the coaches are in a similar position. People are starting to talk about putting the burners underneath Shiano a little bit. I think from what I gather about Maryland fans, it seems like the burners are already on for Loxley. Am I accurate in what I'm saying here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last week for the first time, it was right before halftime of that Indiana game. I want to say the score was something along the lines of 20-3, and the student section just erupted in fire Loxley chants. It was the first time we've seen something like that happen in the stadium. People are really, really getting fed up with him. I mean, at the end of the day, he's been there for 7 years now, and it's looking like or at least so far it's been the second straight season, Maryland has had a 4-0 start and then lost 4 straight games. And I mean, last year they ended up 4-8. This year it's not looking like they could be in a similar boat.
That's just
Sorry.
unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, it feels like Maryland, like they kind of, they were making some progress in the Big Ten like a few years ago. Like they were even challenging some of the better teams, like even Michigan, like Ohio State to an extent. And then it kind of felt like they kind of took a huge step back last year. And like you mentioned, starting 4-0, going 4-8. That's Rutgers fans know that kind of start well too. But the famous non-conference warrior stuff, which drives me absolutely nuts. But the trick is you don't fall for it, and then you're okay. But either way, I mean, it's rough. And for Maryland, it's more like, I guess they, I guess it's September Maryland, October Maryland. It's kind of like, it's almost more like divided by the months. Like from what I understand, it's like a hot start and a slow finish. But this season though has been an interesting one because I mean Maryland, they started off like really good, and not just in the non-conference, like they beat Wisconsin, but then they had like 3 close losses to Nebraska, UCLA, and in Washington, even where they had a 20-0 lead. And student section, like the whole crowd looked pretty good, full in that Washington game. Obviously didn't go their way, neither did Nebraska. But I guess, like, what did it feel like, kind of like losing 3 of those types of close games? Like obviously Indiana's a different story, but I mean that must have been just really frustrating to experience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and Indiana was Indiana. That's that's gonna happen. But no, that Washington, Nebraska, UCLA combination was an incredibly frustrating one for people in College Park because it was just the exact same script 3 times over. I mean, first off, Washington, like you said, they're up 20-3, and you blow that 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was Maryland's second sellout of the decade. Like people were packed. It was up and at it, and they just got torched at the end. And then Nebraska, sort of a similar business. I mean, Nebraska outscored Maryland 10-0 in the fourth quarter. That one was almost more forgivable in the end because it was a very, very good performance from Raiola, obviously, now out for the season. But a couple early picks gave way to a really strong finish by him. And it was almost like, this isn't as bad as what we had seen before, They at least showed a little more fight in that Nebraska loss. And then the UCLA game was bad, guys. I gotta say, that was really bad. I mean, it was a game where I want to say it was 15 combined punts between the two teams. Like ugly football. And Maryland gets the lead, and then UCLA takes in the fourth quarter. And then Maryland comes back. They tie the game with 40 seconds, and in 40 seconds give up huge plays that get UCLA down the field for a field goal. I mean, it was just, it felt like deja vu 3 weeks in a row. It was like fans were starting to lose their minds. And then, obviously from that into the blowout against Indiana, which, I mean, yes, they're the number 2 team in the country, but losing 55-10 on homecoming is not a good feeling. No. And yeah, there's a lot of resentment towards Mike Locksley in this program in College Park right now.
Yeah. Probably similar vibes in terms of Rutgers too. I mean, there's just like, I was mentioning like kind of the non-conference stuff, but even in the non-conference this year, Rutgers struggled. They got off a win against Ohio, who's a really good MAC team. Then they beat Miami, Ohio, Norfolk. But then the second Big Ten play, I mean, Iowa was a big game for Rutgers. They didn't win that. Same thing, Minnesota, Washington, frustrating. Oregon was like kind of like your Indiana game where we just completely got demolished. And then they squeak out a win against Purdue, who's like one of the worst teams in the there's a lot of bad teams in the Big Ten this year. It's weird, but Purdue definitely being one of them, but Rutgers able to salvage a win against them. With that also like coming off 2 field goals at the end by Jay Patel, and then Illinois, you think they have some life and maybe they're not going to win, but they're probably not going to win, but at least going to play a competitive game. And Illinois' defense wasn't looking too great either. And then suddenly Rutgers, the offense gets shut down. The defense keeps allowing scores, and it's a 35-13 loss that felt like a lot worse than that. So like just kind of hopeless place. But yeah, I mean that kind of brings us to like where we are now. I mean both of these teams looking for a win to keep their bowl eligibility alive, because Maryland also, I think they have a path where if they beat Rutgers and they end the season with a win over Michigan State, that's probably their most likely path, because they also have Illinois and Michigan. For us, it's Maryland, Ohio State, Penn State. So I mean, Penn State this year, in a weird way, is a very gettable game for Rutgers. I know both Rutgers and Maryland fans probably feel a certain type of way about the Nittany line. So like extra sweet would it be for Rutgers to get that one and get bowl eligibility? But it really does all come down to this one game, because if they lose, I mean, the path basically goes away, because if you have 5 wins, you don't make a bowl unless it's like APR circumstances. But yeah, I mean, it's just weird that we're both kind of in the same position. But Rutgers was favored originally, I think, by 1.5 points, and then now it's flipped to Maryland. So I guess we could, with kind of the backdrop, I guess we could start diving into how we think this matchup is going to play out.
I mean, for that, I need you guys to tell me, what is Rutgers' biggest strength coming into this game, in your opinions, having watched them all season?
Well, actually, based on what I see from Rutgers and what I see from Maryland, I think it might be strength on strength in this game. Our best in terms of pretty much all around on the roster is our passing attack. Your best seems to be your secondary. Second most interceptions in the FBS, first in return for touchdowns, first in pick sixes. But then on the flip side, we have Calic Manis, who has proven himself to be a stable quarterback, but then Ian Strong and KJ Duff, who are NFL caliber wide receivers. I mean, not last week, but 2 weeks ago against Purdue, Duff had 6 catches for 241 yards and a touchdown. So, like I said, it's very much strength on strength, and it's I think it comes down to which side gives first in that area.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Maryland's defense is the better unit of the team. Like they've got a good kicker, they got a very good punter. So that sort of field position Maryland is able to compete in, but really where they make their money, the bread and butter, is the defense. It's 2 parts. It's the secondary, yes, but also the pass rush has been really good this year. I mean, 2 guys that came in as rookies, Sidney Stewart and Zahir Mathis on the edge, are guaranteed at least, like, bare minimum, day 2 picks in the NFL draft once they get there. I mean, they are very much players that are able to impact the game, and the way that Maryland likes to scheme up their defense, they let Mathis and Stewart get as many one-on-ones on the outside as possible. They started moving Stewart inside occasionally for a few snaps, but really the disruption that Maryland's going to cause, what's going to happen is I think Calic Manis is going to have to get the ball out quickly. Like, that is what Maryland is going to force its opponents to do. And if they can make that work, which, certainly with 2 very strong receivers, it's easier to do that, then that's probably the place that Rutgers is going to find some success.
Well, to be honest, thank God, because, he only does his first 2 reads, and if it's not there, then that's it.
That's true. Yeah.
Like he will not check it down. Even if the running back is open in the flat, that is not happening. He will not check it. He will not check it down. So if it's not the first 2,
right.
Sorry, it's just a little bit of a rant.
No, that's all right. Because if he's not going to go for the check down, you got to keep the running back home and pass pro, because the tendency for Maryland to pull 5 guys blitzing is strong. I mean, they will absolutely get after the quarterback if they smell blood on the line.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed because after the Rutgers Illinois game, we had like I changed the channel over to Indiana Maryland. We were watching a little bit of that as it got started. The pass rush, I was like, they got Mendoza down in one of the early series. They forced punts. I mean, they really, like you said, field position. I mean, obviously, they ended up losing even in that part of it too. But I mean, they were able to kind of keep Indiana at bay because of that pass rush and because of that secondary. Obviously, you got to talk about Jamar Glasker. I think he's had like an interception in like the last like 3 games now. So he got one against IU as well. So I mean, just both of those units like definitely like serving up some heat, I guess, basically, because that's something that Rutgers definitely has to be worried about. They have multiple offensive line injuries, and Caligmanis sometimes also does tend to hold on to the ball too long, which that also worries me against a pass rush that's going to get to him quick.
Yeah, certainly that. But I will say Glasker is a guy, he's a very good cornerback, don't get me wrong, but he is a guy that will sell out big time. Like the interception he got against Indiana was because he fully abandoned his coverage and jumped Surratt on the outside because he saw the play that was coming. But then he tried to do that against one of Indiana's smaller wide receivers. I think it was 3 series later, and he made the jump, and the guy made his second move behind his shoulder, and wide open 30-yard touchdown. He's a boomer bust guy. The guy that I would say you really want to look at is number 6, Dante Joyner. He is your typical sort of lockdown corner. He's the one that's, not necessarily going to stow up as much on the stat sheet, but he'll be the one that Maryland will try and put on to neutralize, I think, the threat that they want to neutralize the most.
Yeah, and that comes down to something I would find a little bit interesting. I wonder who he would exactly line up against. I would assume, because of the lingering injuries to Ian Strong, I would assume it would be KJ Duff, but Strong is, I guess, the more developed, more refined wide receiver, but he's been kind of playing like a step behind because of his injury status. People were expecting him to go to the NFL this season. He's a junior, but now that he's missed some time, has been battling those lingering injuries, at least in my opinion, I think he's going to come back. I don't think that's something he wants to put on tape for NFL teams or have it be his last tape for NFL teams. So it's going to be interesting to see who exactly they line up where, because Duff is technically the number 2. He has taken the steps to be the number 1 in recent weeks.
Yeah, I would agree because that's gonna definitely be really interesting. Yeah, because Duff is the number 2, but he's been playing like the 1, and then if like you're saying, Glasker is more of like the boomer bust guy versus Joyner, who's more of a lockdown. So you'd probably put Joyner on Duff, and then you'd put Glasker on Strong. But I mean, Strong's also a good receiver too, so it's going to be interesting how that secondary and those 2 receivers go after it, and then I guess who's going to be on DT Sheffield in the slot as well. I mean, that's going to be the third receiver corner matchup to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, third corner for Maryland is Lakai Rowland. He'll play more of that slot role. He's more interchangeable with Glasker and that. But I do think it's going to be Joyner against Duff, just purely looking at the physicality piece of it. I mean, Joyner is the more physical guy, and going up against a guy that's 6'6", he's the guy who I think Maryland will trust more to be able to handle that part of the threat.
Yeah. I guess in like a little bit, I do notice from at least what has been generally talked about around the Rutgers community, you guys, if you had one weak point on the defense, I'm hearing a little bit that it's the rush defense. Is that something that you agree with? Is that something you have seen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have it up right now. I could pull up the exact stat, but it being Indiana aside, Maryland gave up 360 some yards on the ground to Indiana. There were 4 different 80-yard rushers in that game. That is Maryland's biggest issue for sure, because yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, Indiana, all they had to do was run for the last 3 quarters of the game. but the way that the defense sets itself up, Stewart and Mathis on the outside are true pass rush guys. Like, they are not run stoppers. And Maryland has kind of had some trouble figuring out who its second linebacker is. There was one guy, Michael Harris, who's supposed to step up this year, but he got thrown in the doghouse in the summer. We've seen him on special teams only. And since then, he had a great year last year statistically, and then just fell off the face of the earth. We don't really know what happened to him. But since then, it's been two freshmen, CJ Smith and Keyshawn Flowers, that have been rotating in. And they're both guys who are, going to be serviceable linebackers. Smith's more of a wing back, and Flowers your traditional guy. But they're freshmen, and it's shown for sure. I mean, defensive leader is Daniel Wingate. He'll be the green dot guy, number 1 in the middle. He's the linebacker. He's the best run defender that Maryland has, I would say. He's a very sure tackler. I mean, I think 5 weeks into the season, he led the Big Ten in tackles. But it is certainly a team that Rutgers will be able to run against, yes.
That's actually going to be a little bit interesting in itself, because not the running back room for Rutgers is actually pretty good. But looking on the offensive line, we have, 4 injuries to our offensive tackles now, Arnav? 4?
I think so, right? Dante Chin, Ryder Langsdale, and then
Taj White.
Yeah, Taj White, and then moving Needham over to right guard, and then shifting in Mushugiwa over at or tackle, and then Mushugiwa at left tackle now. So yeah, we're down to our 4th string left tackle, moving our right tackle, or moving our usual left tackle over to the right, and down our starting right tackle. So it's just, it's not great. Like, it's my point. Not an ideal situation, but I feel like as good as our running backs usually are in terms of, well, also CJ Campbell, one of our starting running backs, is also injured too, so that doesn't help. He's more of a pass catcher, shifty guy. Antoine Raymond's kind of in that, if you remember, like Kyle Manung guy, Isaiah Pacheco, bruising back. Antoine Raymond's definitely picked up with that. So far this season, I mean, they're both been pretty. I mean, Jashawn Benjamin as well, but Raymond has 4.8 yards per carry, 760 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's definitely the number 1 guy. Jashawn Benjamin's also kind of more like a Campbell. He's more shifty. But he's been doing really good. The coaching staff's always been high about him.
Right.
This season, he's starting to get more opportunities in the number 2 role, 5.1 yards per carry, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's actually had a better yards per carry than Antoine Raymond, especially over the last few weeks. So, I mean, that's definitely been interesting. But last week, though, with all the offensive line injuries, both of them got shut
Well, you also got to think, because now we're dealing with the problems with Felter at guard, too. So he's been in and out of the lineup.
He also was injured, and I don't know if he even came back last week or not. That was another thing as well. So who knows? Our injury reports are getting longer and longer, every week.
30 people on the injury report now. We are an
30?
episode of General Hospital. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just
30.
It's not great.
That's incredible.
But I guess my point with all these offensive line injuries and the running backs is, I think for the first week, last week against Illinois, we really saw the run game shut down completely, because even against Oregon, the run game was still kind of churning a little bit, as bad as it looked. But against Illinois, that just didn't really look like the case. They were getting met at the line of scrimmage, maybe 1 or 2 yards here and there. Sean Benjamin had 8 carries for 37 yards. That's not great. Antoine Raymond, our usual number 1, had even less than that. He only had 10 carries for 29 yards. So Benjamin had 4.6 yards a carry, which again isn't that bad. But Raymond only had 2.9 yards a carry. Yeah. So the run game was completely shut down. The pass game was kind of shut down too. But I mean, for the first time, I think the run game this season was neutralized. But against Maryland's run defense, then maybe that's the way that they can bounce back. And especially if Maryland's secondary and pass rush is going to be so fearful, basically.
Stout,
stout is the word. Then maybe Rutgers tries to attack that defense by going to the ground game and relying on that to open up the pass and kind of just set up the offense. I'm looking to see if Rutgers does attack Maryland like that this week, because I think that's probably their best chance to win the game.
Yeah, they certainly should. I mean, Maryland's pass rush, again, you're telling me a 4th string left tackle?
Yes, we are.
That's
unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
that's gonna be tough. But
we'll see.
What's funny is you say that, Rutgers still has a better rushing attack than Maryland. That's been
On the
overall
other
the
side of
team's
the ball.
biggest weakness this year. Yeah, Maryland cannot run the ball. I don't know the offensive line. Like, I don't know line play well enough to really tell you what it is. I can just tell you that while Maryland's offensive line has only allowed, I think, 3 sacks this season, they are looking at roughly 3 yards a carry on the year.
Ooh.
Oh, that's not good.
It's been poor. I mean, against Indiana, that was the big one. Maryland had 37 yards of rushing on 17 attempts for a fat 2.2 yards per carry. It was when I tell you guys this team cannot run the ball, it cannot run the ball. And that's the biggest issue that the quarterback Malik Washington has, because he's a guy who, is going to be an NFL player, at the very least a backup. He's super, super promising, but he's kind of regressed as the year has gone on because the teams that they're playing are so much better. And now all of a sudden they can't run. I mean, Maryland couldn't run the ball against FCS Towson. Like, this has been a problem for the team all year. And if Rutgers is going to be able to stuff the lanes, it's going to be a bad day for Maryland in that sense.
Well, asking anything of our defense is really, not something that we're fond of, because I'm sure you have known that our defense has been setting absolute records for ineptitude, giving almost 8 yards per play on offense. I wish I had a better. And I wish I could say it was the defense that was really dinged up, but it's the offense, and the defense is just that.
There's a few injuries on that side of the ball too, and a few that picked
But
up.
not enough to justify it.
No, because most of the starters are still out there healthy. It's just, I think, between the scheme and between the players not understanding, miscommunicating, and it's just been really. There's been so many coverage breakdowns. So many times some guys are yelling at each other, saying this guy's open. There's been so many over the past couple of weeks wide open touchdowns that aren't being covered.
Three times against Illinois, they ran into each other on the goal line.
Yeah, and 3 times against Purdue, there was there was a no defensive back in the zip code of where the ball was, and that was against the Boilers, where we were able to win because KJ Duff had a 240-yard game, and I guess the offense, special teams, they did their part. Defense got a turnover, but yeah, it's just the same problems. They don't seem to be getting fixed, so I can't imagine that the big plays will fix themselves this week. I mean, it's just the run defense, though, kind of has somewhat improved, but against
the run defense, really, I would say, is arguably better.
Better, but they still allow they still allow big plays, but other than that, they definitely are better. So I don't know. I mean, compared to the pass defense, that's definitely the strength of the defense. I would say it's not great. They still allow a lot of yards on chunk plays, and against mobile quarterbacks, they particularly struggle. We've seen that all year. But Malik Washington, he's not really a statue, but he's also not the most mobile. So I'm interested to see how that affects Rutgers, I guess.
Yeah, no, Washington's not mobile. But one last thing on the run game. They were the last team in the FBS to record a 20-yard carry on the year. And they've had exactly one of them.
Wow. Interesting.
It's everything that Maryland does is going to be through Washington. I mean, they're going to try and do some little quick bubble screens, stuff like that. Coach Loxley has called an extension of the run game.
Right.
But I mean, Maryland will do damage in the air for sure. I mean, that's what this team is built to be. I personally would say putting all of your eggs in the basket of a true freshman quarterback and asking him to win you games single-handedly is not the strategy. And through the last 4 games, it hasn't been. But Washington did look very good in non-conference. I mean, he
was definitely lighting it up for sure.
I think he peed himself a little during the Indiana game. It was the first time I've seen him look scared. But he is certainly going to be able to throw for 250 yards without putting up too much of a sweat in any given game.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
he has he has one heck of an arm, and even like some of the interceptions, like the deep pass against Indiana, the throw wasn't even that bad. Indiana's defensive back just made an incredible play on the ball, but I'm like against our defense, like we might not have a defender in the area, so it might not even matter either way. Even if the throw was a little off, we'd probably be fine. But no, Malik Washington can definitely throw. That definitely has me worried because I mean, first of all, like Rutgers, the defense doesn't get a lot of pressure, and sometimes it does, but then when it does, it also doesn't tend to get sacks. And then the secondary is so bad that, like, it's if they're able to exploit them, through the air on the deep plays, like we've seen that against Miami, Ohio, where DeQuan Finn just launched the ball 80 yards down the field, and against Minnesota, and like I'm just like yeah, against I mean everybody like Oregon was like treating us like a scrimmage because they kept like just throwing all these like easy passes. Like that's another. So even if Washington isn't the most mobile, I feel like yeah against our defense he'll probably throw for like 300 plus because if he averages 250 on a regular game. So I mean
we
Yeah.
have an outline where before every podcast, we try to pick like certain statistics, certain numbers from, both teams just to kind of compare it. Personally, when I was writing the outline today, I did not feel much of a need to go into specifics about our defense. I literally just wrote all around bad because I
yeah.
can't tell. First of all, 3 times last game they ran into each other, like trying to cover somebody. Like you could literally see it on the film of them knocking heads against each other because one guy's going the wrong way, and that happened 3 separate times. So, like, I didn't need you to tell me how good Malik Washington looked for me to know he was going to put up 250 yards on us.
Yeah.
That's like the very sad part. I didn't need to know that because now I'm thinking he might have the
He might
game
go
of his
for like
life.
400, like
No, I mean,
I don't
really,
know.
if it makes you guys feel better, he has definitely regressed in Big Ten play. I mean, he's not in contention for the Sean Alexander or anything anymore, where after 4 weeks you would have said he was a lock to be in the finalists. He's not having
Right.
his Jaron Kiawe Cal quarterback year. He's looked very freshman. And I think the biggest thing for him, the biggest issue that they're going to have to work out of him is you guys are going to notice it a lot. He throws every single ball to the receiver's back shoulder. Like if they're crossing the field, it's going to their back shoulder. If it's a wide post, it's going to the back shoulder, which can work because that helps them keep possession. But when you don't want it, it's still going to come in at the back shoulder, and that's cost Maryland. It straight up cost Maryland a chance at a comeback in the Washington game when one of those passes ended up being so far behind the back shoulder that the receiver went to like out to grab it and just popped it up in the air for the cornerback to grab, and it was game over.
I think I actually watched that highlight. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
no. Go ahead.
No, I was just kind of like picking your brain a little bit because, of the inaccurate, like of the tendency to throw to that one area. Is that because, you just think that's like fresh? Do you think that's just like freshman mechanics? Is that something that started in the non-con and hasn't been developed? Or is that something that's new in the Big Ten play?
I think it's definitely something that is a Malik Washington tendency. I mean, I watch other quarterbacks, I watch other games. That doesn't happen. I think part of it has to do with the footwork. He is not great at setting his feet every down. Because he's got that arm. He's got that Joe Milton is the easy comparison of he doesn't need to worry about anything else because he's got the arm power to make the throw happen without doing the rest of the little things. And it's something that I don't think is conscious, but ends up happening, and something that, I mean, we as writers believe has to get worked out.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, because as good as like the arm talent is, like that could result in like mistakes, and like you said, like always targeting the back shoulder, that that could result in problems. Like, and it already has, like this season. So yeah. But
With his ability, like when it comes to just him as an all-around quarterback, from what I have seen just by watching a couple of Maryland games, he's not a statue in the pocket. He doesn't have like cinder blocks tied to his feet, but when he has open lanes to run, he still doesn't, and like at least from what I have seen, when he has the opportunity to take off, he hasn't been able to take advantage of that opportunity. He doesn't quite have. Maybe I guess he's not like looking to run. I'm trying to like say it because I've seen a couple times where he has the open field and just did not run. Is that something that has been a trend with Maryland quarterbacks, or is that something unique to him?
I mean, I would say it's a trend with Maryland quarterbacks because last year Billy Edwards finished with, I think, the second most rushing yards on the team. And before him, Talia Tagovailoa was a guy who you could trust to pull it and run. I think Washington actually has talked about it a lot, about how he's tried to sort of be a better runner. I think they kind of tried to coach it out of him early season just to make sure he would be healthy. Because, I mean, I don't know how much you guys looked into Maryland early in the season, but it was really a two-way quarterback battle between him and UCLA transfer Justin Martin.
Yeah,
and
I remember that,
very first game of the season, his knee gets destroyed. And then it's okay. So Malik had won the battle, but now he has to be your guy. And the third string quarterback who's now backup is also a Martin. Christian Martin is not. You're going to see some heads on Twitter calling for Christian Martin. Maryland knowers do not want to see Christian Martin on the field. And so part of it is that, keeping him safe, getting that, because he's a durable guy, but the hits that he takes, there's hard hitters in the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, well that's definitely for sure. So,
well, I won't lie, that does my heart a little bit good knowing that he's a little bit reluctant to take off and run, because every single time I feel like we face off a quarterback that's not afraid to run, he's gonna get at least 20 yards of rip.
He'll just because the defense gives it to them. He'll just take off with like 20 yards of green grass in front of him. It's just like So hopefully this time that won't be so much of an issue. I mean, I've seen him create in the pocket. Like the second touchdown was he kind of created in the pocket, and then he kind of looped the ball over to DeJuan Williams. That was a nice play over there to cut it to 20-10. But then so things like that, like he could definitely run a little bit, but he's probably not the guy who's gonna like take off like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson or something like that. You know what I mean? So then I guess in that sense of the word, Rutgers should be content with rushing the passer, but that still worries me because Rutgers doesn't tend to get that many sacks, even if the quarterback's in the pocket. So it's just, and then the coverage is also bad. So it's just like we might have one victory in this, but I don't know if that really changes like the entire equation, like the way it should, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Washington, he will take off for one or two in a game. He will have a run, and maybe if he has he'll get in the groove. Like if he does it once, he'll do it again a few plays later. So if they're able to keep a spy on him early, they'll probably limit his overall impact in the game. But of course, then you're leaving a guy less covered in coverage in the backfield.
Yeah, there's no winning there, because especially when it comes to Maryland's offense, you guys are very deep on the pass catcher, not even just receiving core, but pass catcher side of everything. Because I think I have it where it's like you have 5 guys with 24 receptions and at least 250 receiving yards. That is like the fact that you have 5 of that is just absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, it's a very balanced team in the passing attack. And honestly, part of that is that none of the receivers have been good enough to stake their claim as a true number 1. They've all been serviceable guys you'd be happy having as your number 2 receiver, but there has not been that sort of alpha top dog guy. And I mean, the big guy that Malik seems to have a very good connection with is number 4, Shalik Knotts. He's the one with 5 touchdowns on the year. I mean, he had a touchdown in 5 straight games. He's very much a talented receiver, somebody who's kind of had to work his way up. He's a fun story, actually, because he started at Maryland as a freshman, got no snaps until this year as a senior, and he's really blown the team away, done more than they expected. But Washington has really started to focus on quick passes out of the backfield, specifically to DeJuan Williams. He's the top back simply because he is less bad than the other guys. And he's got the hands to be able to take. I mean, you guys saw the touchdown against Indiana. He can snag a ball and run with it. But yeah, outside of that, Octavian Smith and Jalil Farouk are the two guys. Farouk is your sort of shifty yards after catch guy. I think he's actually caught more passes like at or behind the line of scrimmage than he's caught past the line of scrimmage, because he's the one that Maryland goes to for that screenplay, that quick run extension. And Octavian Smith is just your sort of chain mover, your Julian Edelman type, just like plays a little in the slot, plays a little outside, just kind of catches the ball, moves the yards forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like a little bit of everything, like a deep threat and kind of like chain mover, intermediate guy, shifty playmaker, and DeJuan Williams too, because that's the name that I guess popped out after seeing that touchdown. But yeah, I mean that sounds it sounds like you guys got like a few different back or receivers that they each do different things. Nobody's like really, like you said, like nobody's become the alpha, but they can all contribute. And then on the other hand, for Rutgers, it's like each receiver's kind of like become like really good. And like we have like two like receivers that will probably be in the NFL with Strong and Duff, and then Sheffield's kind of like our slot guy, who's, I don't know, he's not quite as good, but he's still definitely really good at what he does and very dynamic playmaker. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. It just seems like a lot of it's going to be a lot of passing, because it's like Rutgers passing offense and Maryland's pass defense is going to be, a big matchup. And then on the run side, it's like Maryland's run defense is poor. Rutgers rushing attack has gotten slowed down. So we that's probably maybe where Rutgers tries to go. And then on the other hand, like Maryland's rushing attack is also poor, but then so is Rutgers defense overall, including the run defense. So it's gonna be interesting to see how each team like attacks this game. I feel like it's, I mean, like I said, it's like strength on strength and like weakness on weakness in terms of the run game. So it should be interesting to see like how this one plays out.
Feels like we're not going to be seeing a lot of punts in this one. I just kind of have that feeling. I have a feeling this one could be a shootout.
I think that's what we're feeling on our side as well. It's very evenly matched teams. And I think it'll come down probably to coaching decisions, stuff like that. I brought a stat for you guys. In the fourth quarter this year, Maryland has been outscored 65-24.
Oh.
No lead against this. Like, Rutgers fans, if you are down in the fourth quarter, you are in that game. Like, it is not over until it's over. I mean, I know maybe like the delusion of the season has worn off. It certainly has over here, where like you're just going to expect your team to lose. But I promise you, this is the one game where they can pull it out. Like, it can happen.
Well, because kind of on the flip side, Rutgers offense in the beginning of the year used to come thundering out to these leads.
Yeah.
And then they would melt away by the third and fourth quarter. But now that has flipped, where instead of thundering out the leads, we get blown out in the first half and then get our way back in it.
Yeah.
We can't play four quarters. That's just not on the docket and will not happen.
Nope.
This team can't either. They only play 3.
Yeah, like the 20-0 lead against Washington, and then I was just like, I cannot believe Maryland like lost that game. I was like, what on earth just happened? And then to see that happen again 2 weeks in a row, like very similar, like close losses, and I don't know, it's unfortunate, but like for Rutgers, it's also been kind of like that. But I don't know, I feel like for Rutgers, it's just gotten progressively worse every week. And then I guess, I don't know, for Maryland now too. I mean, like now they have the big loss to Indiana, but it's going to be like whichever team can just flush it and bounce back, because both teams are coming off a really tough loss. Like Illinois, like I said, 35-13. It was really 35-6 for the longest time. And then like, the touchdowns in garbage time, and obviously 55-10. It played out close. It looked I mean, it ended up being 55-10. It was 20-10 the third quarter. It took a while for them to get there, but they it's still not a great scoreline. But again, now this matchup, nobody's going to get out talented to the point where they're going to get blown out of the game. Each team's going to have the opportunity to win it, which is going to make it fun. I think teams deserve that ability, and we'll get that. So whichever team, I guess, wants and more plays better is going to be the team that wins this one. I really don't. I don't know which way to kind of lean on it, but I mean, I guess that's kind of like kind of the last part of the outline, like that we're going to talk about, I believe.
Well, interesting fact that I thought that we should bring up in this like 10 games 10 game series from 2014 to 2024, the away opponent has won more often than the home opponent. Rutgers 4 wins against Maryland. One of them came at home, and 3 of them were in College Park.
Wow.
On the flip side, most of it was Maryland won 2 at home and then 3 at Rutgers.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Quite interesting stat. I mean, the last few years it feels like it's been a lot of Maryland late in the rivalry, like where before last year, like they won the past 3, and they weren't even that close, or kind of demoralizing losses for Rutgers. I believe one was like 40-16. There was like 37-0. There was like something else along that line, and then last year it kind of flipped where Rutgers came down to College Park and clinched a bowl, 34-17 win for Scarlet Knights. So this year, I mean, I don't know, like, you know what I mean, like which way that goes, but yeah, a lot of road wins for each, because even in 2020, I believe Rutgers won in overtime in College Park too. So that was like that was the last win for Rutgers, and Maryland won 3 straight, and then Rutgers won at Maryland. So it's just like it's a lot of road wins. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know which way it could go, but that's a very interesting trend because, I mean, sometimes trends are good indicators, sometimes they aren't. But I don't know. I mean, it's just there isn't really like too much to say, but it's just both of these teams really need this game. I don't know who's going to come out. It feels like it's going to be a battle of like who's the best of the worst teams in the Big Ten, because there's like 4 teams in the standings that are below both of us that haven't won a conference game, and somehow we're the ones that are in the position to fight for a bowl, which is out of that group at least, which is weird. But I mean, one of the teams is going to walk out on Saturday with some hope, and the other one is, I guess, not. So I mean, like,
yeah, look at us. Who thought we would be here?
Who would have thought, huh? Right? Look at us.
It's like unbelievable, but at least I guess we didn't have like Penn State's expectations, and we're in this boat. I guess it could be worse, but
yeah.
When I see our R above Penn State's logo in the standings, I'm like, Mom, get the camera.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much like. I mean, do you feel like as a Maryland fan, or and someone who covers the team, like, do you feel that this is like a rivalry like game with Rutgers? Like, do you feel like the teams have one? Because I feel like it's somewhat manufactured, but at the same time, there is kind of one brewing, especially when teams, they're handing each other losses in important games, and they always play at the end of the year, and they play annually. I could see it's in the process. I just don't know if it's like really like an actual rivalry or not.
I think it should be. I would love to see it be a rivalry. The shared history of the Eastern Big Ten teams that are not Penn State, that don't manage to do that. I think it would be very good for each school to kind of adopt it. I'm for it. I don't know that it's a big thing right now, but certainly wouldn't be against this one getting a little shippy, fans starting to jaw off a little bit.
I think it is slowly building to that point, because if you think about it, last year Rutgers clinched a bowl game in Maryland's home stadium. The year before that, I believe Maryland clinched a bowl game in our home stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is.
Yeah, we missed out.
I think it is started to become one of those rivalries. And I'm going to go a little bit off the script here. But if this were to become a trophy rivalry, what would the trophy be between these two schools?
Ooh, that's a tough one. A New Jersey. I think winner just gets Delaware. Like,
Yeah, it's right in the
You know.
middle of the two states, so
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I mean, I've heard like like something related to like I-95 or like something like that. I don't know, like one of those. I don't know. It has to be like something creative or like beach town, like beach related. I don't know, something that like
It could be.
unites like Rutgers and Maryland, like what
I
they have in
mean,
common with each other, I guess.
I guess maybe like an Ocean City thing. Just call it one gets the real Ocean City,
Oh,
and
that's
the
true.
other
Yeah, we
one
both
That's a
have
good one. That's a
Yeah,
good
I
one.
like that one a lot actually too. So
we got to have a backup name for the other one for whichever year is like whatever year is a Rutgers win. We're gonna call Maryland's Ocean City. I don't know. We can call it Nighttown or something. You guys can be Turfville, or
Ooh.
we can come up with something for whoever's lost
that's
it.
spicy. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
We'll-
one.
we like get real
We'll put-
estate in the other teams. They
Oh, yeah.
with our beach. I like that a lot. It's like Turkville, Nighttown. That would put some real like stakes on this rivalry. Like now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the fans are gonna want to win that one, so they don't have to endure that.
Yeah. I don't know who
That's
we're
very
gonna get to agree
creative.
to it, but if they did, like,
Yeah, I
that'd
mean,
be
it would
I
be
don't
good
think
thing.
they would
No,
ever.
I definitely don't think they'd agree to that at all. But like, it's a good hypothetical. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, something related to like I-95 or like I don't know, like beach towns. Like it could be our food or like something that the area has in common. Like we could figure it out. But yeah, because I feel like the Big Ten has tons of rivalry trophies all over the Midwest, and and then now the Big Ten's saying that this is like a rivalry game, like officially a rivalry game on the list or whatever. And I'm like, like I don't know, but I mean, if we did have any rival in the conference, it's probably got to be Maryland. So I mean, because we don't. I mean, there's not really too many other. I know all the Rutgers fans like we hate Penn State, but that's not really like a true.
Everybody hates Penn State.
Everybody hates Penn.
Yeah.
Maryland. I know Maryland fans feel the same way, and so do like a lot of the other schools around here. So we're not alone on that, and it's really
Yeah.
fun to see them lose every big game and mock them for that. And that's my favorite thing, like in the world to do, and like be like, "Huh, Ohio State beat you guys again," and they'll be like, "Well, what about you guys?" I'm like, "I don't really care anymore." I'm like, it's like my favorite thing to do. But but this year Penn State just crashed down to earth in general. So I mean, it's a whole different. But yeah, in terms of actual rivalries, though, I feel like Rutgers, Maryland, they came in the Big Ten at the same time. They're both East Coast schools, even more than Penn State is, and they're both been competitive with each other. They both like you said, like we won games at the other stadium and prevented them from being bowl eligible. So, I mean, I can't even think of another like really a Michigan State. I feel like maybe for Rutgers there was kind of like some back and forth going, but it's not really
no.
Not to the
I'm gonna put the kibosh on that right now. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking in terms of competitiveness, but like it's just also just kind of been irrelevant, and it's not the same because they're in the Midwest and we're in the East Coast, so it doesn't really hit the same. So I would say, yeah, I mean, in terms of for the Rutgers end of it, I'd say Maryland definitely should be is the closest thing to a rival. For the Maryland end of it too, I would probably think like there's no natural rivals in the Big Ten for Maryland either, so it's probably the same way. How you guys feel?
Oh yeah, I mean, we would love to be Penn State's rival. We're really mad we don't get a shot at them this year.
Yeah.
Really, really upset. But no, it's absolutely Rutgers. I mean, I couldn't even tell you who else it would be outside of those two teams, and sure as hell can't be Penn State.
Maybe that's the rivalry trophy. Who gets to be Penn State's rival for that year? That's the rivalry trophy.
Oh my god.
I like that.
I love like what you guys did, like when Maryland beat Penn State, the whole like you where we are thing. I was just like, that is like so like that was so funny. But it was like the one time where that got to happen, I guess, when they beat them in the COVID season, and then it was just kind of like back to normal. But I was just like, if we ever beat them, like we gotta like come up with some creative graphics or something like we are with the block R on it or like something funny like that. But, like I don't know. I always thought that one was pretty cool. Like people like were like, well, it's just 1 year, it's just Maryland, like whatever. But I thought it was like pretty funny. So I mean, but yeah, in terms of I don't know, in terms of rivals, I mean, it's like we're all each other god or something. Like, what I mean?
Yeah. But at the same time, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So
That's
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 You were
true.
just
true.
That's
pros.
true. In terms of the Penn State thing, I guess, yeah, that's another way that I guess Rutgers and Maryland probably feel similar in a way. So but yeah, I mean, I guess this week, we have to square off, but then Rutgers does play Penn State in 2 weeks, and if we beat Maryland, then Penn State becomes a huge game for us. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I guess with that in mind, I guess the last thing we like to do, especially if we do have a guest on, is like score prediction. So I mean, I guess you being our guest, Nolan, do you have one first for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think this team is playing for Mike Loxley's job right now. And I think that's going to get them this week. I don't think they're going to win another game this year, but I think they will be able to squeak this one by. I think the defense puts just enough pressure on Kaliakmanis that he's not going to be able to even get to the second read. He doesn't need a third one if he can't get to the second.
Right.
And I think Maryland wins this game somewhere in the region of like a 28-24.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being close and like high scoring at the same time. So I don't think like either of these defenses are like too great. I mean, I guess Maryland's pass defense kind of is. The run defense looks suspect. So I think our run game does bounce back a bit compared to last week. But I don't know. It's like which Rutgers offense shows up. I mean, I would like to think that after they looked off against Illinois, that they bounce back in front of the home fans. Against a Maryland team. Like I don't think they're gonna get blown out of this game. Like this isn't the Talia Tagovailoa, Terrapins, I guess, exactly. But at the same time, I really don't trust their defense, and I think Maryland like gets like a weird like high scoring win like at like 34-31 or something like that. Like that's like my prediction for now, I guess, at least. Yeah.
Oh man, okay. All right. I see. I was not going to go with the homer pick, but now that you did not go with the
I was
homer
like,
pick,
yeah, I was
feel
hoping like you kind of would because I didn't. But
I was thinking in my head like, man, he's really saying this right now.
Because usually I try to pick Rutgers whenever I think it's reasonable, but like it is reasonable this time to like I wouldn't say Rutgers is going to be out of it, but I don't know. I just don't have like Maryland's been more competitive against like the middle teams than Rutgers has been. I feel like for some reason that plays a little bit of a role in it as well. So that's another reason I guess I'm leaning towards the Terps. But anyway,
yeah. But one, and he kind of brought up a little bit of his point, but I have it flipped. Knowing your point with Loxley like playing for his job. I think that after that Illinois loss, the burners for Shiano went from like non-existent to like halfway between low and medium.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think in a little bit of a similar scenario, and this depends on if Shiano works really hard. Going on about that in his press conference about how he beat Purdue because he worked really hard.
And then Illinois.
What are you doing all the rest of the time?
And then Illinois was just too much, so it didn't matter. So like, this week he
if he works really hard this week, which I think he will do.
Yeah.
I'm not confident in it, and I reserve the right to change my pick.
Do it.
And when our what?
Do it.
You really screwed me with
I'm sorry, I don't know. Like you wanted me to do the homer pick so you could do the merit like the same.
I was kind of hoping.
Oh boy. Okay. I feel like
I reserve the right to change my pick, but I think that Maryland's probably going to take it 35. 35. No, 38-28. I'm saying that.
Okay, 10-point win.
Yeah.
Interesting. I had a little closer at 34-31, but yeah, I mean, wow. Okay, we're right now at this time at least we're all leaning in the Terps direction, but maybe for a staff pick, I'm sure like one of the four writers is probably going to choose Rutgers. So we'll see what happens. I think it is, like I said, going to be a close game, and I mean, I don't know. Like if Rutgers wins, then Shiano's going to be like, I worked really hard, and it's going to be great. But then it's also going to be like really this again. So it's just like I don't know.
And then we're going to get to hear we will get there.
Yeah, we'll be like, see, I told you guys, and like we barely beat Maryland. Like I'm just like I'm not again like I'm not falling for non-conference. I'm not falling for that either at this point. So, but if we win, like bowl eligibility is still alive. So obviously you want to get that, and hopefully we do. I'm just not too sure if we will. But is there anything else that we like had for this podcast or?
That actually pretty much does it for everything that we have on the outline here. Unless there was something you wanted to mention really quick, Nolan.
I think that I am probably the least confident person in their team that you have brought onto this podcast this year. I can't say who you brought onto this podcast this year, but I can tell you that this Maryland team right now, we all picked them. I am not confident in this team one bit in its ability to win this game. I think Rutgers.
I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's like kind of like Rutgers and Purdue too. Like that's the way they're like we were both kind of feeling like as well. But at the same time, it was still like both teams were like, no, we got to win this. We might not win another one. This that. Now it's kind of like I don't think we're gonna win. It's like weird. Like it's just like it's a weird feeling. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, one of these teams is gonna win. So like, I mean,
yeah. Someone has to.
There's that. Yeah, exactly. Even if it goes to overtime, like somebody has to win the game. So hopefully it's us. I don't know. I think it depends on which Rutgers offense shows up because if Ethan Kalagmanis and the receivers in the run game show up and have a monster day, I don't think Maryland's winning the game. I'll just put it that way. But I don't know if Rutgers' offense is going to be that consistent because in the last few weeks they really haven't been, and especially against the Maryland secondary and pass rush that's pretty good. Like I don't know if they're even a little bit inconsistent. The defense is so bad that Maryland probably has a field day and wins the game that way. So that's I think it really hinges on whether the Rutgers offense can really step up to the plate and hit a home run.
Yeah, certainly a chance.
Yeah, there's always that chance. So
You're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that pretty much does it for everything that we have here today. Thank you, Nolan, so much for coming on. Everybody, I'm sure they're going to have great preview content for Rutgers, Maryland. So if you want to see some articles from the other point of view, make sure you go check out the Testudo Times. But as always, sorry if I can get this out. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, the bells must ring.